Okay. Well, welcome everyone to our first school town hall. If you do have any questions, you can type them into the box, if you can see that in Zoom, but we'll go ahead and get started. So thank you for joining us on the call today. So I'm Katie Dashiell. I'm a talent engagement manager, and I've been at Supplemental Healthcare for a little over 4 years now. And my role focuses mainly on our social media presence, our blog content, ambassador program, and I love being able to show appreciation for the talented healthcare and school professionals that we have. So I'll be moderating the call today. And then joining us, we have Keely and Andrea. They're experts in this space and are here to share some guidance and support through the changes we've all been experiencing. I'll let them introduce themselves and talk a little about their roles. So take it away, Keely.
Thanks, Katie. And good afternoon, Supplemental Healthcare team and guests. To share a little bit about myself, I've grown at Supplemental Healthcare for about 19 and a half years, and I've held a few roles. And the most recent past 4 years, I've had a laser focus on our schools. And so as VP of Schools, I support our Supplemental Healthcare schools effort across the United States every day. I work with our School Centers of Excellence leaders and all the important office staff supporting each important one of you and our school clients. My job is being a bit of the interpreter of sorts between the educational system and really a world-class staffing company. So it's the best of both worlds in my opinion. I work diligently and I'm thankful you're here this afternoon. Interested in learning about updates on how we're changing to meet the new environment and the demand to support students and their family with new challenges. And it really speaks more about you than us, you being here today. The magnitude of the shift in the short time that we've been able to maneuver it is overwhelming. I'm grateful to support people that I can see beyond themselves and work remotely or by the bedside to care for those in need. People like all of you that have such passion and love for our students and schools that have found solutions and just creative ways to serve kiddos. So with that, I'll hand it over to my right hand and left brain, Andrea Contos.
Thank you, Keely, and I couldn't agree more. Thank you all for your selfless nature, and I'm certainly honored to be part of this call today. Look forward to your ongoing feedback and how we can help support you. And just thank you all for joining. I'm the Senior Director of Schools and began with SHC 14 years ago as an allied recruiter, and since then have also been in a variety of roles during my tenure. I partner with of course, Keely, and our 3 school centers of excellence and all of our local teams and support to help enhance and really support those educational programs from coast to coast. I look forward to our information sharing and questions ahead. And with that, we'll get started. I'll turn it back to Katie, who will highlight our topics of discussion.
Okay, so with everything going on with schools across the country right now, we know there are still some uncertainties, and our team has been working really hard to support you all, and we wanted to share what's already being done and all the things that we're continuing to work on. So we want to show you all that you're not alone in this. Today, we're going to talk about some of the frequently asked questions we've heard, and Keely and Andrea will offer some advice and guidance. If you have any questions, like I said throughout the presentation, feel free to type them into the chat and we'll be sure to address them at the end. If we don't have enough time, we'll have some sort of follow-up to answer those questions. So we also are going to talk about some examples of the pivots that we've made with our school professionals during this pandemic. And we're also going to share some support and resources through this continued transition. So starting off, our first question is for Keely. What does the typical innovative learning session look like, that is, as a related service professional or health service nurse?
Oh, that's a good one, Katie. And honestly, I get a little grin when I think about typical innovative learning guides, because the need for continuity for your students' learning and the at-home learning to meet students' needs is constantly evolving. We see changes every single day, and I've seen countless variations in just the past 40 days, and all are successful, right? Some more than others, but they're meeting an ongoing need. And so for our health service nurses, modifications to their typical duties has shifted from, they use on their daily duties, right? They were working on their school immunizations, hearing and vision screens, educating and triaging students into the health school clinics, to coordination of student nutrition and food deliveries. Yes, these nurses are helping with food deliveries. They're doing coaching and answering questions about COVID and social distancing and CDC guidelines. They're also completing temperature checks for district food prep employees and managing technology, laptop, basically, delivery for students without technology. It's a far cry from their training, and more could come. What if in the fall, our nurses are also used as contact tracers? We don't know what that will look like, but our nurses are up to innovate for that challenge. On the related services side, the use of telecommunication and information sharing technologies might greatly vary by district or by new innovative learning session. And we call it an innovative learning session because really we're figuring it out as it goes for the resources that are available. And so that session should look like it would if you were in person once the rapport with the parent and the process is established with the parent's authorization for student facilitation. And so that could include parent education and coaching, as well as phone calls and texts to schedule the best time to facilitate their child's learning. In this new space, a good, quick technology check is important to ensure that all is functioning properly, and for you to have a good backup of a whiteboard or maybe even a notepad to help facilitate the child's learning in case the technology freezes. From there, start with a review of the previous session. You continue to work on building rapport with the parents, and be sure to outline the goal of the session. Discuss a variety of activities in order to keep the student focused and motivated, and perhaps even a mix of worksheets or websites or even YouTube videos. Give clear goals and provide effective feedback and progress. And then remember to keep realistic rewards for at-home activities for the next session to be held. While the delivery method has adjusted, the model and the goal of the session has not. Thank you, Katie. What's the next question?
Thanks, Keely. So the next question we have is for Andrea. What type of technology and materials are being utilized?
Another great question. Well, as we've seen, learning and therapy are being offered to students by using a variety of modalities, including email now, phone calls, apps, and like what we're doing right now, video conferencing such as Zoom, Google Classroom, or even Skype. I think the first suggestion is to really ensure that you're clear on your own school district protocols and state guidelines as the communication you have with your students is based on those. And then from there, like Keely was mentioning about the parental and guardian establishments of communication as well. I think the next step is really to determine the best delivery method based upon the need of that student. The type of technology and materials can also vary based upon what each household is equipped with. Many learning packets are being created for those without the ability of using a platform like Zoom. And then these actually can really be created quickly, efficiently, effectively, and then of course, safely. And then more specifically, a variety of resources and materials can be used for effective service delivery, such as clear dry erase pages with homework for kids to draw on or highlight so they're clearly annotating. Keely was talking about printables and videos. Using some fun things like Ellen video clips is one I've heard. And just a new one today we shared in a call this morning, which was Wheel of Names, where you can input anything into a spinner to make it work and get those conjunctions or sounds. And even songs have been shared for interactive use as well. Educational websites are there. Physical activities like Play-Doh, hard materials, and books, of course, are effective. And then we've also been really finding a lot of those free printables that can be prepared and then sent in those learning packets. And then finally, ourpartner.com has an amazing, amazing resource library that includes really targeted resources for speech, OT, social learning, and then they even have some tech tips on their portal. So be sure to check that one out too.
Those are some great examples. So next up, Keely, how can we improve parental collaboration and communication?
Thanks, Katie. Remember in the setup of the innovative learning, the parent education and coaching. You know, you can even text your parent to remind them of the learning sessions, if possible at the beginning until you get a schedule underway and they're familiar with you. You can meet one-on-one with your students' parents with a phone call or Zoom to do a discovery of their home environment. You can identify toys or familiar objects for cues and realistic strategy setting. Also, you'll want to identify suggestions or tips on how to use the home as a therapeutic environment. Remember to meet the parent and the student where they are for that day. Often being able to see frustration in communication between the student and the parent, or the student that can't verbalize, allows you to share a tactic for that non-contingent help that parents will then come to you and look to learn and hear how they can facilitate the day, building that comfort to come to you for questions. Answer and help clarify the benefits of the interventions that you're doing. Share how carryover can facilitate learning throughout the day versus just in that session, and identify what is realistic. The student's progress could be greater than even in the school environment with so much carryover. Just yesterday, I heard two examples. One was when I was talking to one of our supplemental healthcare office, and then the other was on Facebook with one of our supplemental office staff. And the first was a parent who had a child's therapist dictate kind of an unrealistic pizza party where the parent had no pizza supplies in the house for the learning session. So clearly in that case, it's not a success. The second was on Facebook, and it was where a teacher set up a distance learning session in the driveway of the home. And the video clip in the comments of the students' reaction and excitement to read was just palpable. So just really a super example of a teacher preparing in advance with realistic goals and tools for the student to be successful. So find flexibility with parents. You know, many of them are working all day at home just like you are, and they may need time in the day or the late afternoon to share their computer because maybe they're working on it all day. Take that time to accommodate if you can. Identify the use of mediums. You know, if there's a familiar the parent is using at work, or maybe with one of their other children or a sibling, maybe see if you can use that form of a medium. And then definitely document in your contact log. So we hear a lot from our therapists that are frustrated trying to do everything they can to make it work with maybe an unengaged parent. And just make sure that you're documenting all of your attempts and what you've tried so that you know you're doing everything to set that parent up for success. And then guys, this is out of the norm, you know, where there's more resources than ever before. So it can be overwhelming, and just take it one step, one session, one day at a time. And remember, you are a powerful support influence in your students' success, and what you're doing is very viable. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks. And to all of you working on that relationship to the parents, thanks for that as well. So, Andrea, what are some best practices to improve scheduling and completion of students' activities?
Great. Yeah, thank you, Katie. Well, first best practice I have to say, guys, is believe in yourself. Have that confidence to do this. You got this. Don't be nervous, you know, but at the same time, be prepared. I think you can show that confidence with your students to help them succeed. You know, many of you, as Keely was just saying, are parents yourselves with students at home, and I know you're all wearing multiple hats, so it's important to really be adaptable and then think outside the box, like Keely was just talking about as well. You know, some examples of virtual service delivery checklists are available via therapy boards such as ASHA on their telehealth portals. So examples like this can really help you be prepared and organized for effective scheduling and service delivery. SHC's Continuity of Service Guidelines reviews those communication expectations and details on how to deliver from both a confidentiality and efficacy standpoint as well. And you guys probably have seen a lot of those being sent to you via DocuSign, so check those out. It's a great resource. We've talked a lot about mediums. This is, again, another topic where I think it's relevant, where you can find that right medium to connect with the student and or guardian to schedule the sessions. I think initial calls and then those emails for some introductions work very well, but somehow those texts really seem to help with reaching out and scheduling. It prompted a little bit better response. Collaboration is another key word. I think collaborating with your team lead, your SPED director, IEP coordinator, and even the teachers at your district to really help ignite involvement and then the completion. I think one other really good tip is that once the communication and some of that setup has been established, to confirm a set time and then the same day, week over week, to really promote that consistency for learning and success of the project. Get creative and then recognize, what materials or activities your students responding to best in order to promote that overall student progress and growth. So back to you, Katie. Thanks.
Great. And so our last question is, what tools and resources are available to them, Keely?
I think the best thing to do is always check with your district special education director or your health services team lead to confirm if specific tools or adjustments to the learning or service capture system within the district is needed. Most of those are still viable and required. So you as the healthcare provider must be familiar and follow your district's guidelines and then your state's law and regulations from the Department of Education and the Department of Licensing. So all states are making adjustments, and even in some states, we are seeing waivers of the certifications for telehealth just so these kids can have some carryover for free and appropriate education while they're at home. And a good example, and this is something we just saw maybe 2 weeks ago, it popped up, where Texas has already released their home-based learning plan, and they've adopted a platform for their at-home learning services for speech language pathology services. So they're using that as their preferred platform, and they're training all their LEAs on it. So in turn, our SLPs that are working in the state of Texas may be trained on that platform. So first and foremost, we definitely want to follow district and Department of Education guidelines for our state. And then as we mentioned, and so many of this is interwoven, where you've got to ensure that you're keeping precise contact logs. So documenting the parental contact, documenting your interventions, attempts made, the trainings that you've done with facilitators, your session goals, next steps, and then resources used and progress to support outcomes. A multitude of those resources are available through professional association partnerships and also through our partnership with .com Therapy. So no longer are you held to the black cabinet that's in the therapy room, right? And just what's there and what someone hasn't taken, right? You now have all of the internet to go out to. And then we've looked for guidance with our connections, where we go, and we're involved in professional organizations and also professional associations. So we look for guidance from CASE, which is the Council for Administrators of Special Education. We go to the district websites and to the State Department of Education websites. We use ASHA and AOTA boards. They've got awesome boards and communication and Q&A sessions. And then in the near future, supplemental healthcare will have protocols for getting back to ESY and back to school. So right now, our quality assurance is working on how we follow CDC guidelines and handling communication of symptoms and being able to achieve safe handling on student interventions in the school setting. So there's more every single day that we are learning about. Any ideas that you would like to share, please share with us at School Solutions.
Awesome. So thank you both for sharing that guidance. And so now we're going to talk about some of the pandemic pivots that we've done in schools. So Keely, what's been going on at Buffalo Public Schools?
Thanks, Katie. Yeah, this picture is our Buffalo Public School, just a smidgen of that team. We've got about 100 nurses that work in Buffalo Public Schools, and they were one of the last to close and one of the first with a plan. It's just been remarkable. And the first picture on the left is from our associate superintendent on her social media Facebook page. And it's our Buffalo Public School RN supervisors. So Andrea Cole, Content Adams, and Brenda Schreiner are there and helping with the getting out the student lunches. And then on the right, sitting are Barbatia Ledwick and also Dana Camarada with the food service workers and security. So these nurses are helping with those lunches. They're taking temps to ensure that the food service workers don't have temperatures or aren't experiencing symptoms. And then they're also handing out the technology. So just really fantastic way that they pivoted right off the bat.
Awesome. So thanks to everyone who's working with BPS right now. And Andrea, what's the latest at Summit Academy?
Yeah, well, thanks, Katie. And yes, all hands were on deck these last few weeks to really help ensure students and the families received much needed educational, nutritional, and emotional support during this COVID closure. I love the name, Buns, Blizzard Bags, and Benevolence. That sums it right up. And it's been just a fabulous way for community and families to stay connected during such a challenging time. You know, the internal staff assembles the breakfast and lunch items that then can be prepared at a family's home, along with those learning and project packets for the students. In fact, the principals themselves are even delivering these packages to homes each week. And I know that this is just one of the examples of many that I know that are out there really highlighting the community and the support and adaptability of our teams and communities themselves.
That's great. So just to give you all a visual too of just the supplemental healthcare support system across the country, I'll let Keely introduce our area directors.
Thanks, Katie. So yeah, this is a color-coded map that shows your area directors of your centers of excellence that support you and your offices every single day. And these ladies can be reached out to for any questions or ideas or solutions. And you can see you've got Lainey Mazurkowitz. They're color-coded in the darker blue in the east. You've got Natalie Ellenbeck, and she's in the southeast area, as well as Catherine Cooper in the South Central and the West. And so all their contact information is on here. This will be circulated out to you. And so anything that you have for ideas or need extra support, please share with your area directors as well as School Solutions. And Andrea, can you share the resources slide?
Yeah, this is great. Thank you, Keely. Yeah, and we will be providing this slide deck, so you'll have access to all these links for the resources that we've discussed on the call today. And here you can see the list of the telehealth portals from the therapy boards of like AOTA, APTA, ASHA. We've talked about CASE, the National Association of School Nurses, and then also our great partner with .com, and that's the .com website, Better Together. And so the other piece is I would definitely recommend looking at your own state board of education, always having live tips, and it's a great resource. And so we'll send this out upon conclusion. But I think with that, we're going to turn this back to Katie for a wrap up.
Okay, so we have some exciting events going on right now and also coming up to celebrate all of you and recognize your work and commitment. So be sure to check for the code in your associated appreciation cards to order your t-shirts if you haven't already. And be sure to share your pictures with your recruiter and tag us in your posts on social media. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, as well as subscribe to our blog to stay up to date on all that we're doing to recognize our school and healthcare professionals, as well as share news and updates that you care about. Also look forward to talking with your staffing manager about commitment letters for next year. We have these awesome buttons, and that way you can show your principals that you'll be returning next year as well. And then we also have some great features coming up. One's on a school nurse working in public health during COVID-19, and another that's an SLP transitioning into the innovative learning with her students. So stay tuned for that on the blog. So thanks to our presenters, and again to all of you for joining. It looks like we do have a couple questions that came in. So the first one is, what advice or support do you have for physical therapy in public schools?
I'll take that one.
Okay.
And just because with physical therapy, so .com does not have a platform for physical therapists in the public school setting. And it is one that is a little bit more difficult. But we actually have some physical therapists that are doing Zoom sessions.
Mhm.
And so they're setting up the exercise in advance, getting that out to the parents through communication, and then they're making sure that the plan is worked through with the student and the parent, and making sure that the student is doing the exercises correctly. And so some of this takes a little bit of ingenuity and creativity. And I would say we would also probably suggest looking at the APTA for a reference guide as far as what's appropriate versus not appropriate for you to show them. You know, we've had that with occupational therapists as well that are working with even dressing or toileting. Those are things that you definitely can't do on Zoom. But knowing where those boundaries are and how to educate is something that we can take offline and help you with that in a one-to-one to come up with ideas, and then also reach out to our network of professionals. It's just amazing to hear the ideas and the creativity that we hear every single day. And so I just wish we could share every example with you. But great question, and that's where I would start, is having a good learning plan, some examples, and then being able to just site check those through Zoom where appropriate.
Great. And then it looks like the other question might be a one-off. So if you do have like specific questions, you can email schoolsolutions@shccares.com. That's on the bottom of this slide. And we'll also have that in the follow-up email. So for that question, we'll follow up via email after this. If you guys do think of any other questions though, feel free to send it to the email. We'll also have like a feedback form survey after this. So please feel free to fill that out so we can improve for next time. And also if you do have any ideas to share with our schools team as well, I know that they'd really appreciate that. So if you could take a few minutes to fill that out when we send the follow-up afterwards. So this will also include the recording of this call, as well as the slide deck, which has the resources links as well. So just be on the lookout for future calls like this and other opportunities to engage with us. But again, thank you so much for everyone for joining, and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Bye.